Hello, what to do? I'm Wood Dude. And in this video, I'm going to push my skills to the test by taking on the biggest project that I've ever done, building a one-of-a-kind dining table with a bit of a plot twist. It's going to also double as a gaming table with a recessed area to play all kinds of cool, very high-class games. This is something that's definitely never been done before. I'll stop lying. Full disclosure, I may have gotten the inspiration for this project from another YouTube video. This guy built this really cool gaming table out of some less cool cherry wood, and I really liked how it looked. I wanted to build my own table, but with some changes, obviously. I've already done all the planning and design work, so all I need is money for the materials. More specifically, I need... let's see... $600. Fuck. In the last video, I tried selling a few watch display cases I made in order to get some cash, and it turned out not great. We didn't sell them even after we lowered all the prices. Yeah, it kinda sucked. Thankfully, our Etsy store where I sell custom laser acrylic has been doing pretty okay, but we still need about $100 more, and I have a plan. What are you gonna have us do this time? Fail to sell a couple of jewelry boxes? No, that's next week. Why don't you take a look behind you? Oh no! What happened? Well, guess we don't have a choice now. To make this dining table, we start with the part I neglect most in my workouts. Legs. I just bought some 2x4s of Douglas fir from Home Depot, glued the two of them together into a 4x4 type of deal, making them square and flat before fucking up all the hard work by cutting them definitely way too short. Oh man. Damn it. But no worries, because just like in real life, you can fix any problem with a little glue and a lot of pressure. Once the glue dried, I made a few angled cuts and added a few pieces of plywood, and now the legs are basically done. We can turn our attention to the base of the table, which is just a few more long boy planks of wood we mill up and cut straight, clamp together in this miter box with some plywood stretchers, and once everything is screwed and glued together, we can combine our legs with our base with some bolts and threaded inserts, and give it a little stress test. To be honest, I'm surprised it could support all that weight. I mean, look at that big head. I installed some metal channels with some diffusers for the future LED strips that will go all around the inside of the table. Then I prepped the base and legs for paint by filling in the cracks and crevasses with wood filler and some light sanding. While the paint was drying, I moved on to the top, specifically the hardwood rails that went along the top of the perimeter of the table. I really wanted this table to have this yin-yang kind of design with two contrasting woods. I've done this before in previous much smaller projects, and I think they turned out pretty okay. So I took two pieces of walnut and maple, routed a curve on the end of each piece, and then glued them together using nails, clamps, and a bit of the good Lord's luck to combine them into a single piece, which I then glued onto the freshly painted base and legs. Now at this point, I was feeling pretty confident. Everything was looking pretty good and the hard parts were finished. Or so I thought. Because now I had to work on the toppers, which were these three pieces that would cover the opening of the gaming table to make it an actually usable dining table. And you know what? Fuck these toppers, man. I could have made them out of solid wood, but that would have cost more money and skills than I had. Also, the pieces would have weighed quite a lot more and been prone to possible warping down the line. So I instead took the fiscally responsible coward's way out and instead cut some pieces of half-inch thick plywood on my table saw. Here I am just making sure all the pieces fit before I glue on some thin walnut and maple veneer onto these bad boys. If you didn't know, veneer is this really thin layer of wood that you can use to cover up the top of really anything, but in this case plywood, to give the impression that it's a solid piece of wood. But here's where things started to go south for this project. I'm kind of skipping over a lot of details here because I don't want this video to be 20 minutes long, but suffice to say my veneer tops sucked. I couldn't get them quite right. I think it was how I was clamping everything together while the glue was drying. There just wasn't enough pressure onto the veneer, which resulted in these absolutely nasty air bubbles on the surface. I was able to eventually figure out a way to not have the air bubbles by using a vacuum press bag, but that was later on after this project was basically finished. I'm probably just going to redo these toppers in the future, but for now, I buff on some finish, and it's done. can't tell you how nice it is to finally have this project done. I mean, this project took, I think, the better part of 3 weeks. The recessed gaming arena has this smooth play surface I made with some 1/2-inch MDF. It has a layer of textured waterproof leather over top a layer of foam for cushion. And it's bordered by RGB LED lights with those channel diffusers to help make it a continuous stream of light that really just makes it feel kind of luxurious, if I may be so bold. I also cut some channels along the outside of the table that I glued in some metal rails to accept some cup holder accessories held by using the power of magnets. Overall, the base and legs came together fairly nice, but the toppers having those bubbles in the veneer, some glue stains that I couldn't quite sand out or risk going through the veneer, and one of the panels somehow developing a warp, I give it a C+. And in the wise words of someone on YouTube who I can't remember who, the project is good from afar, but far from good. Now it's time to enjoy some games of poker on my new table. If only I could make some friends.